Hello and welcome to the Green Profit Academy Pros podcast. This show digs into the challenges in growing a lawn care and landscape business while maximizing your profit. I'm Christeen Era.
And I'm Steve Bousquet. We are the green industry experts in profit, growth, and leadership.
Hey Steve, how's it going?
Good, Christine. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm excited to be back today to talk about the 5 categories and the 3 different stages that a business grows through. So on our last episode, if you caught that, we unpacked these 5 stages, which is strategic business planning, customer service, day-to-day operations, revenue management, and building a great team. And we started unpacking the different stages of growth that they go through, which is infancy, adolescent, and maturity.
Wow. Well said. Well said. That was well done. I will give you credit for that reintroduction to our second half of this program. And we made good progress on the previous podcast. And today we're going to finish the 4 categories that we did not get to on the first podcast. So would you like to start?
Yeah, so the next category that we're going to cover, diving into infancy, adolescent, and maturity, is customer service and satisfaction. And the first stage is infancy.
Satisfaction. Can't get no satisfaction. Mick Jagger, right? Sang that song. Sometimes there's customers they can't get any satisfaction. Those are not our sweet spot customers, and we got to get them out of the business. But we definitely want to make sure that we're, focusing on satisfying our customers' needs and wants. So infancy is accessibility. We're focusing on ensuring customers can easily find and contact the company for support. And that used to mean a phone call, and now it's an email, a text, Facebook messaging, Google messaging. It could be many different ways that they're needing to get a hold of us. So we have to be available for all those. Responsiveness is part of customer satisfaction and service, addressing customers' needs and concerns quickly and efficiently. And everybody kind of has their own, what quickly is. In lawn care and landscaping, there's very few lawn care and landscape emergencies. We're not keeping people alive. But different customers can have a different kind of understanding of what an emergency is or how quickly they need to be responded to. And then there's personalization, tailoring support to meet individual customer needs and preferences. And that goes back to the texting, messaging. I have customers that kind of communicate with us different ways. We want to support them. We'll communicate how they need to be communicated with. And we won't complain about it because it's just easier to text message someone if they want to be text messaged, and email them if they want to be emailed, and that supports them. And also, there's a proactivity part of it, anticipating customer needs and addressing them before they become issues. And we talked about this on the podcast earlier about, making sure that we're saying, hey, it's going to be hot, it's going to be dry. This is how to water your shrubs and trees. This is how to water your lawn. And, these are things to look out for. Oh, it just rained 4 days. Now it's going to be overcast. Guess what? Red thread alert. There's just no way, even if you have a great fungicide program, you're still going to get some breakthroughs. So reaching out to customers, we know that we have to contact them many different times, many different ways to get the message out to them. And also having transparency, communicating openly with customers about any challenges or issues with the product or service. So, just letting them know we're behind on a schedule because it rained, or, we can't get a certain product, or we can't apply certain things. Because I remember last year in Colorado, they had wind for a month and a half. And there was just certain products that they could not apply. If it's above 10 miles an hour, 13 miles an hour, depending on the product, you can't apply certain herbicides. So you could put down granular fertilizer. But just communicating that to customers is a big part of customer service. That's the infancy stage.
Yeah, and I think that, all of these tie in, each one of these categories, it can tie into a system that you have established or have put in place in your company. And again, we were talking earlier about software systems that support this industry. And I know that they have some great customer service plugins with direct messaging where the entire team can see the messages back and forth through the technician, the office staff, with the customer. So there's complete transparency involved, and even pictures that can be uploaded, whether you're using the software, from a software company, or you're using an app like Company Cam, which is one that I know that you use, Steve, which creates transparency between the office staff, the technician, and the customer. So those are some really just simple, implementations that you can set up to get your customer service and satisfaction through that infancy stage and to the next stage of adolescence.
Yeah, company camp for us is wonderful. You can post pictures, tag items, tag other people in the company. Somebody saw something the other day that I had posted, and he's like, I was just at that property and it was fine. Somebody had like the lawnmower guy smashed into the fence, and by lawnmower guy, I mean the homeowner, smashed into a fence and had it cordoned off. But I mean, my guy was just there 2 days earlier and it had not happened. He's like, I didn't do that. I'm like, I know, nobody thinks that you did. You would have let us know and we would have fixed it. But it was just interesting that, now everybody knows in the company what happened on that property thanks to Company Cam.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and why it's great to utilize, the technology that you have in place and those systems, to be responsive, to be transparent, to document some things and, connect with the team and the customer.
Absolutely. The next stage is adolescence. Why don't you share what adolescence customer service looks like?
Yeah, so this ties back into consistency. And I feel like this is a subject that comes up again and again and again, with a challenge in our group coaching programs that we've done, or even in some of, our calls where we're doing one-on-one coaching. And the challenge is delivering consistent support experiences regardless of the customer situation or needs, or even the service that you're delivering. So you have a company, you have this offering, and you have 10 different guys, or people doing the same thing. So they're out there in the field. Let's just use spray application. There's a pattern that's supposed to be sprayed. And then you have this one guy. They're like, there's always this one guy who we go out there and you can tell, the spray wasn't done in the pattern. That's, company standard. And then we have a talk with this one guy. And, so making sure that the delivery and the support that you're providing your customer is consistent with their experience and what they should expect. So, that's when you know that you've hit that adolescent stage, when you've got this accomplished. The next one is empathy. And empathy is one of my favorite, kind of new topics to talk about. It is something that, I've been discovering because I've never considered myself an empathetic person. I'm always pull up your bootstraps and get gritty. So
Feelings. Feelings. We're going to talk about feelings in business.
that's right. Yeah. So there's empathy, and there's a way of, managing and, showing up to be empathetic. And it doesn't mean you have to be like emotional or you have to, be sorry or sympathetic. It's really understanding and acknowledging the customer's emotions and feelings during a support interaction. So if you're delivering a service and they have needs or they have certain situations, you're really training our team members to be able to have some of those conversations or direct them to somebody who can, and realizing that as we are living our life, life is happening for others. So having a process of just that emotional intellect to where your team can say, hey, I understand you need your gate closed so your dog doesn't get out. I will make sure that that happens. Or if a customer calls up and said, hey, your technician left my gate open and my dog is out, not saying, hey, that's not our problem, but being empathetic towards that and acknowledging the customer's challenges.
Yes, we have clients that call up and they'll complain about something. And, I've trained my staff to say, and what else? And what else? Oh, the weed in the backyard. Okay, and what else? And they'll say, oh, there's one weed in the front yard. Okay, and what else? Well, I just had to put my dog down and I'm very upset and da da da. So it's not always about the nail. There's a great video. It's not about the nail. Look it up on YouTube. It's a wonderful, people call up about many things, and just being curious and asking some questions is a way to be empathetic and understanding, like, sometimes we found that the person who's calling us is really the messenger and they're getting it from someone else in the family. Why is there a weed in the backyard? Why is there a weed in the front yard? Call them up and find out. So also have an empathy for the person who's on the phone, realizing that they are just the messenger, and that, you can be on their team and help them to resolve this. And it could be the person who's having them call is having a bad day, or just wants something resolved. So being a little empathetic, it's not always about the weed.
Yes.
And I
And
mean
it's
by
not
weed,
personal.
I mean dandelion, thistle, plantain, not the other stuff.
Yes. So the next one is flexibility. So adapting to the customer's needs and preferences during the support interaction. And this could be something, that is like an area of innovation. And I've worked with several lawn care and landscape businesses to where one of the things that come up consistently amongst their top customers is how much they communicate and the transparency that they create in the process. So I know that this could be, something that could be a strength for your company, or it could be something that you might need to work on. But, depending, it may not be the right customer for you if they have a long checklist of things that you can't abide by. So you got to think about that as like, how flexible should you be to adapting to your customers' needs and requests, and making sure that the customers that you serve fit into your process. So there's going to be a reasonable amount of flexibility to where it doesn't dig into your profit. So keep that in mind, but don't cut corners with customer service. If they're not the right customer and they're demanding too much flexibility, then serve somebody else.
Collaboration is the next item on our list here, working with customers to find the best possible solution to their problems. One of the ways that we do that in our company is we do soil tests. We do over 1,000 soil tests a year. And the best possible solution to their lawn is having the right pH, right? And sharing that information, educating and showing them, hey, if you want to do it yourself, this is how to do it, how much to put down. If you want us to do it, then this is the investment. But also working with them to find best solutions, like, hey, like the gate for the dog. Well, what's a good solution for that, right? Maybe you could, we could knock on a door and let you know that the gate is closed so you can let the dog out now. So if you don't get a knock on the door, don't let the dog out. There's other things, but making sure that you're collaborating with your customers. And then next is educating, providing customers with knowledge and resources they need to better understand the product or service. And I have found making videos very helpful for customers. Like, it's not crabgrass. We get barnyard grass. It grows in our lawns. It shows up in early to mid-May. People think it's crabgrass, so I just made a video. It's not crabgrass. And we send it to people, how to sign up, how to pay with us. So just these, simple videos. They're not fancy. They're shot with an iPhone. I edit it, but and put on a YouTube channel, and that way we can just share the link. But also, leave behind when you do services, and then being proactive and letting them know what's going to come up at different times of the year.
Yeah, and there could be other companies out there that have some of this. I know the one that comes to mind, and I know it always comes to mind because we do this in our yard, but the solution to the pollution is dilution, right? So when you have pets and they go outside and they're trained to go to the bathroom on the lawn, my husband, he despises those burn marks on the lawn. So what is it the entire family has to do when the dogs are let out? We have to dilute the pollution because that's the solution. And instead of creating your own video, there's other videos out there that you could use to better educate your clients and your customers on how they can have more beautiful lawns, or how not to cut their grass so short, or whatever that is. But you can use that in addition, that educating process for expectations and marketing, nurturing their journey as a customer with you.
I made a video that tells people why it's important to keep the leaves off their lawn in the fall. Keep their yard, the leaves clean, because when the leaves cover the grass for too long, the lawn can't, do its thing with photosynthesis. It can't make its food, its carbohydrates. It's trying to store up for the winter. So, and there's a company in Tennessee that uses the video I made and shares with their customers, which is fine with me. But you absolutely use other videos to share with your customers. If someone's done a really good job explaining something, that is totally okay, as long as you give the person credit and don't take credit for the video. It's you can use it, and as long as you're not selling it, it's just education. Absolutely do that. So the maturity part of customer service and satisfaction is this continual maintaining a consistent level of support, quality, regardless of changing customer needs or market conditions. What does that mean?
Yeah, so that's a good question, right? Because you hear this, maintaining a consistent level of support, quality, regardless of changing customer needs and market conditions. And this is why this is really why it's in the maturity category, because you've got your systems and processes dialed in, you're servicing your ideal client market. You know what services you provide in your market. So it's really easy to get to that point of consistently servicing your customers at the same quality that they're used to. So even if, something changes in the market, your team is still going to show up. Your services are still going to get delivered the same way. And even if something shifts a little bit, it's really easy for you to show up because it's just in your nature. It's part of your company culture, and it's really part of your brand. So it becomes second nature. It's very easy to maintain that consistency.
That was good. I like the second nature reference. Thank you for that. Shout out to second nature. So, right, maintain that consistent level, regardless of stuff that happens. You have ways to adjust schedules, lack of anything. The customer still gets delivered the service they're promised, regardless of all the other influences. That's what that means. Perfect. Mm-hmm. Innovation, constantly improving and expanding the support experience to meet the needs of the customer as they continue to evolve. What does that mean?
Yeah, so this again is the top topic that I like, is being innovative. What technologies can we use? How can we be more efficient? What is our process? And getting to that point where, you're not solving the problems anymore. It's not reactive, right? You're being responsive and you're being intuitive. So you're really looking at, how can we create a better experience? How can we meet the needs of our customers? What else do they want that we might be able to add to our service that solves a big problem for us? But it's really easy for us to bring that new service into the fold because we're already there at their property. So, and a couple examples of that could be, you're already doing lawn application. So, maybe you do some pest control in addition to that, just some spray, maybe spray some trees, or, spray bushes or whatever it is. So you're adding that additional service because your customers are going, well, I really wish you guys did this because I have to use this other company. But you've grown your company to the point where you have the time and space to look at that, consider it, and be responsive and intentional about it versus just, off the cuff saying we're adding, this service or we're going to do this differently.
Good. That's a good way to define that. Thank you for that, Christine. Advocacy. So building a strong relationship with customers and encouraging them to become advocates for your company. So they're advocating, so they're giving referrals, right? They're telling other people, they're defending, they're representing, they're showing up on your social media. In our company today, as much as we like to advertise and market, referrals are still the number one way we get clients. I mean, so having this army or this family of advocates to help support and grow your business is a crucial part of the maturity stage.
Yeah, and I like how you put it, Steve, where you say, the introduction, right? So it's not a referral, it's an introduction. The client is introducing your company to one of their friends or their associates. They're not just referring, they're saying, hey, I think you guys would be a really good fit. Here's this company. This is why I want you to connect with them.
Yeah, the introduction. We need introductions, right? Because it's funny when you ask someone for a referral, they're like, I don't know anybody. But if you ask them, hey, can you introduce me to someone that could really, benefit from our services that you think we would like get along working together? They're like, oh yeah, I have somebody I can introduce you to. It's one simple word that changes the whole mindset.
Yeah.
Proactivity, continuously monitoring customer feedback and addressing any issues that arise before they become major problems.
Yeah, so this can just be around, if you do get a customer complaint. And I like how you kind of approach it, Steve. Like, is it a trend, or is it just like one incident? So looking at it going, are we continuously getting feedback that this is a problem? Or is this just this one thing that's being said, by this customer? Or is it like their common complaint? So really looking at like what are our customers saying? There might be 5 chirpers that you have all the time. And guess what? You can't please everyone all the time, but they're still signed up for your service. So some people, it just might be in their nature to complain. So, really weeding through those problems and being intentional about it and, addressing only what really needs to be addressed.
Yeah, and I overreact sometimes when if we get 5 complaints or 10 complaints, and then, my chief operating officer will remind me pretty quickly. He's like, that's, 10 out of 3,000, Steve. And I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. I always want to like, oh my gosh, we're going to have to change the whole program if, and it's like 10 people. And it's always like south facing slope lawns, get, grub breakthrough. Even if we do the correct application at the correct time, the grub pressure can be so high in Connecticut because we have 4 different varieties that are pretty dominant here. And if you only get 3 of a very specific type of grub per square foot, they can do significant damage. And then you have another variety of grub that hatches right behind it, and they eat a little bit more, and then another variety, and they eat a little bit more, and they have to eat that root to die, so you can get a little bit of damage. So we don't need to chip the whole apple cart over. You have to have enough of a data sample to prove that you need to do something, but to be aware of that.
And I think that ties right into like the communication, right? So providing clear and concise communication to customers throughout the service and support journey. And you just shared a really good example of that, of these different grub varieties eating their lawns. Well, educate them on that, communicate to them, what's next? When are we going to show up? So having a system in place to clearly communicate, what's this look like? People typically like to know what's next. And if you start the conversation and the relationship out with what they can expect in their journey, you're already winning. And then as you continue to provide service to them, you're building that trust and that long-term loyalty that every business wants to have with that customer relation.
Absolutely. And you have to deliver on all this that we've been talking about. So we're going to move on to operations.
Yeah. So
Delivering.
again, the first stage of operations is infancy. So we're starting off in that infancy stage. And this is establishing and maintaining, a regular, delivery schedules. So that's something that you want to make sure that you have is what are your schedules? How are you delivering on these? And what does that look like for your company and for your team? So you're going to want to define those, to begin with. The other one is going to be, providing that environment for your team. So, and your customer. So what are the expectations of your operations and your services that you're going to be providing? So you want that basic system in place. So another thing with your operations is you want to make sure that you are, promoting that safe and supported environment for your team to function. Like, do you have a basic training program when you onboard them? So things like that you want to look at.
Right, and operations can be systemized, looking at the systems of the operations, how do people load equipment, how do they unload equipment, how is the process done when they're going to mow a lawn, where do they start? Does the weed whacker follow the mower? One of the things that we've always been big on when we ran mowing crews was to have that the weed whacker always followed the mower so they weren't over weed whacking. I see many other companies, the guy will weed whack wherever kind of willy-nilly, and they end up weed whacking way more of an area than they have to because they're not only weed whacking precisely what the lawnmower can't get. And they'll say, well, they know what they can't get. And I've watched it, I've timed it, I've measured how much the weed whacking area is. And the most efficient way to run a mowing crew is to have the weed whacking person follow the mower. And being specific and explaining that to the guys is pretty important. And one of the big things in operations is that morning circus, getting crews out, getting your team out. And we'll practice that. The guys know what the goal is. They have X amount of minutes on a normal day to get loaded, get their information, and get out. So it's that goes back to that mission, vision, and purpose. Like, what are we doing this for? And how does getting out in the morning serve on a timely fashion, serve our mission, vision, and purpose in our mutable laws? So, practicing how to get out in the morning, how you deliver services, like how to treat a lawn, like, make sure that you're always going to blow off the driveway, the sidewalk, and the road so we're not leaving pellets on. And one of the things that's interesting in the operations, especially on rounds where we're putting down crabgrass control, we want to, when we blow the driveway off, we don't want to blow it too far back into the lawn. We want to keep it right on the edge because that fertilizer staying on the edge gives us better crabgrass control. So, paying attention to those little details of even how far back to blow the fertilizer granular is so, so important. So that is the infancy stage, making sure our crews know where to go, how to get loaded, get it out in the morning. And then the adolescence is where the operations has a little more independence, right? So when they get to a property and there's an issue or challenge, they don't have to call the boss. They know, okay, there's clothes on the clothesline. What we're going to do is we can knock on the door and ask the customer to take them down. We can just not mow where we're going to get any, grass on the lawn, on the clothes. And they know how to change tires and take care of their mower blades and, change their spray gun, clean their filters. So those are like more adolescent things where they don't have to, hey, my spray gun's not spraying, what do I do? And they're like, well, I already cleaned my filter. I checked all the pressures. I looked for these things to solve. I think there's a system called 3 Before Me where people look and try to solve things before they call the boss. And that is definitely part of the adolescent stage.
Yeah, and I love that 3 before me to where, you're kind of teaching your company to move into that maturity stage of saying like, what three things did you try? And that ties, to the decision tree, which I know is in the clockwork method, is like how to build that good decision tree. Core Growth Strategies provides business growth management solutions through cloud accounting, bookkeeping, and strategic business consulting programs. Our team works with small businesses in lawn care and landscape and trade industries throughout the U.S. We increase our clients' business acumen by creating business performance transparency through financials and strategic advisement based on industry best practices and benchmarks. Our experienced team provides support, guidance, and coaching, thereby allowing our clients to connect with viable data and discover their own solutions. Core Growth Strategies programs and services are designed to get your business from where it is now to where you have always dreamed it to be. Visit us today at coregrowthstrategies.com and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn. Don't miss our exclusive limited time podcast special. Just mention promo code GPA Pro to any member of our team during your complimentary consultation, or enter the promo code on our site when you sign up for one of our online programs. That's promo code GPA Pro. So another one is managing resources, right? To where your team better understands and your company understands how to manage your resources, because this can be a huge gap in losing profit in a company, to where the right materials aren't being purchased at the right time in the right quantities, or even your labor resources, and looking at how is your scheduling happening? How many people are on a crew? And you've run into this and talked about it several times, to where if you have too many people on the crew, you have one, bystander just watching.
It's an audience. Yeah, it's an audience crew. If you have 3 guys on a residential mowing crew, it's an audience crew because somebody's watching. They're timing everything. They're timing with the mowers. They're timing with the weed whacking. And I have thousands of hours of data to prove that is the least efficient crew. Now, some people will do that because of drivers and other issues, but statistically and financially, it's the least efficient crew of all, the 3-man residential crew. And even commercially, I just worked with a client last week, and we basically figured out how to reduce a crew, save about $50,000 worth of equipment just by reducing the crew size. And when he ran it out, the numbers prove that to be true. I don't know, where that over crew size busted out getting things done, but it's definitely not something that's going to support financial goals. And I've never seen data to support that. So we want to be smart in that and support our goals through our operations.
Yeah, and then other thing is, communication. So as a team member and as a management or leadership team, it's being able to have that open communication and conversation. So I feel, on the day-to-day operations, and I know this is something that comes up with my team, is the open communication and the trust and support that goes on with our team has an impact with our day-to-day operations and how our customers are serviced and how our customers are supported too. So I think that that's another important stage, is making sure that you have open communication, that clarity, and that active listening in place to really develop those problem-solving, skills amongst your team with your day-to-day operations.
Absolutely. And then we move into maturity, the maturity phase of operations. And for many companies, that looks like where the owner is stepping back out of the day-to-day. She'll have a manager that manages the day-to-day, and they'll have foremen that run the crews, or women that run their own trucks. And then so the owner is not in the load your truck, telling people what to do and how to do it. The manager has the foreman, who are usually typically at this point, if you're maturity, well-trained foremen, and they can understand how to do, load sheets, and they get their work packets, and the foremen are running their own crews, they're running their own jobs. And so there's a lot. That's where, mission, vision, and purpose is big, because the foremen now become the leaders. They're like out in front of the customers, they're out in front of your team on a daily basis, and they're really following the immutable laws of the company, and they're representing the company everywhere they go, for the vendors, in front of customers, and with the team. And then the other part of that maturity is having a management team, where you have, managers of departments or managers of the company, whether it's a chief operating officer or a lawn care manager or a landscape manager, who have the capability and the capacity to do the planning and the strategic thinking and the implementation of innovation without the owner being there. So that is a big part of stepping out of a business. And to grow a business where the owner is not working, 75 to 90 hours a week, that has to happen.
Yeah, and I think, and this is another step of the maturity stage, is having that continued education and skill development plan in place. Like in your company, Steve, and I know so many people have talked about this, is the 1,000-day development plan, right? Having that system in place that really teaches your team how to move up, how to move forward, improve the skills that they have and build on them. And, what does that look like? So making sure that you have that education and development, skill development plan in place.
Absolutely. And you don't have to be the person that does it. We hire, we do, you and I do leadership training for companies. I do some leadership training for my team in-house, but I have coaches that help and teach and train them. So it's hard for the owner or the boss to do all the training, because what our team hears is, that old Charlie Brown, wah, 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 the teacher. So it's good to get outside people to do the training. Plus, we're busy. We have stuff to do. Owners are really busy people. There's so many different things to do. It's hard to break out the time to become the teacher, especially if you can find teachers who are really trained in it. I mean, you're certified in so many different things. I'm certified in so many different things. Clifton Strength Training, Chief Question Officer Training. This helps leaders develop their strengths and talents and their mindset. And we're certified in that. We've been trained in that. We talk about it every day. So getting people that can help your team who are trained in it is huge. And even for me, I hire for other parts that I don't have training in that my team needs development in. So bringing in the outside help is huge to getting into that maturity phase for sure.
Yeah, and the last thing I would say on the maturity is having those systems and processes in place that outline your deliverables, your day-to-day operations, your training program, your customer services. So making sure that you have an established, documented system that supports the company to operate on a day-to-day basis.
And I really felt my company was in that maturity phase when, for operations at least, when we had a book, that was about 80 pages thick. Basically, you could have taken this book and started a company. Yeah, there was the marketing, how to do what, when, who did it, what was the standard operating procedure, all the SOPs on everything. And we could hand that book out and people could be like, this is how to do it. And if they could follow it and understand it, they would just excel, and many did. So that is a big part of it. And now we're going to talk about where the money meets the road, right? Where the rubber hits the road, revenue management. And in infancy, revenue management is focusing on establishing pricing strategies and revenue goals, which is still huge. It's still so foundational to figure out what you need to charge, how much you can charge for things, and what revenue you want to hit to support your lifestyle. Also in infancy is market research to understand customer needs and preferences. And typically that in infancy, that consists of watching what other people are doing and trying to mimic it or copy it. before you really understand how to niche yourself, or how to stand out in the marketplace. We usually end up copying people for a while, and then
Yeah, you need to
establishing.
identify what's unique about your business. And that's, I feel like what this is really talking about is every market is different. Your lawn care company where you're located, Steve, is going to be different than a lawn care company and their customers' needs in a different state or even in a different part of the state. So this is where, you want to not be a commodity anymore. You want to be a company that somebody says, oh, I want to work with them. They do things this way. I like, how they take care of our lawn. I like how, they have attention to detail when it comes to our landscape maintenance. So making sure that understanding our customer needs and not making that assumption because we've been doing this in our business for a while.
Absolutely. Yep. That's not making the assumptions is the key thing, right? Being curious, staying curious, asking good questions, and keeping an open mind. Absolutely. And also in the infancy is the establishing distribution channels and partnerships. So who your vendor's going to be, how are you going to work with them, how does that work for them? Like how long do you need to, what's the lead time for ordering? How do they pay? What are the terms? And also identifying key performance indicators, which is huge, KPIs, to measure success. So that's one of the things that, when I first start working with people, we first start working with them is developing key performance indicators. How much revenue is each crew or each person generating each day? How many hours does it take to generate that kind of revenue? How much are you what's your gross profit margin? What's your markup on material? And these are just like, it sounds so simple, but I'm going to say 80% of all small businesses, forget lawn care, landscape, all small businesses don't have solid KPIs to measure and manage for their company's success. They just don't do it. They just put their head down, they do the craft, they do their trade, and they look up and 30 years of struggle has gone by. And they're just
Yeah.
making, excuses for whatever they have to whoever they need to. It's key performance indicators are just the roadmap. It's like just so strong. If you can do it, figure it out. We help people with it all the time. I just see the light bulbs go off in their head, and they're so excited when they know, oh my gosh, my crew generates this much amount of revenue in this many man hours. How can I improve it? How do I make it better? Instead of just being the victim of, oh, my guys only do this. I don't even know what they do or how long it even takes. And so KPIs are super powerful.
Yeah, and some of this we unpacked in the infancy stage of strategic planning, right? When we were talking about benchmarking. So that's the important piece here is identifying those KPIs that you want to track so you can measure and you can manage the outcome.
Key performance indicators, huge, huge. All right, so then in the revenue management, we move into the adolescence, which is refining price strategies based on demand and competition. So demand, right? If there's a lot of demand, even seasonal demand, you don't want to be the cheap guy giving discounts in May. There's so much demand that's not the time to be giving stuff away. Fine-tuning distribution channels and partnerships with our vendors and our deliverables and how we're going to pay them and who's a better vendor, who can be a partner with us. Implementing dynamic pricing models. Tell us about dynamic pricing models, Christine.
Yeah, so this is one of the things that I really like that you've shared with some of our coaching clients is the good, better, best pricing model. So it's, you're not trying to be everything for everybody, but you're creating 3 lanes for your ideal customers that you service. You have one that's good, you have one that's better, and then you have the best one. And you'll typically find that most of your customers will choose the middle one, and then a top percentage will choose the best one, and very few will choose the good. So it's creating, options. People like the 1, 2, 3. They can see which one serves them best. And then you're making sure that each one of those pricing models ties to your profitability, your labor hours, and your costs in your business.
It was a game changer for my business when we went to good, better, best in all for landscape for all different types of jobs. And it's hard. It's a hard concept. It's not easy for everyone to grasp and implement. But it's kind of like going to the gas station. There's that 87, 89, and 91 or 93. That's good, better, best. And you can get a double cheeseburger, single, double, or triple cheeseburger. You can get it with a medium or large fry. That's good, better, best. So McDonald's has figured out that the menu board, you order by number, their sales went up. They sold more larger items than they ever did because it was packaged. So that good, better, best for us really looks like a package deal, and it definitely helps because I don't know what their budgets are all the time. No one says, and people hate that question, by the way. What's your budget? I would always just ask, so what do you think a project like this would cost? And I always got an answer. They would either say, I have no idea. I've never done this. And they were honest about it. I legit have no idea. Or they would say 10 grand. But if you ask them what their budget is, they don't know. They're like, well, if I tell you my budget, you're going to bid up to it or design it. Well, yeah, of course I am, right? I want to sell a job that you can afford and you can buy. So just asking that question a little bit differently, definitely people. But so you can design right up to their budget, or if you're doing landscape install, I just need a patio. Well, okay, so here's the patio price. So that would be the good. The better would be, okay, the patio is going to be 50% bigger and a seat wall. And then the best is going to be the patio is 50% bigger than they asked, 2 seat walls and a fireplace. And they're like, dang, that looks good. And they're like, now all of a sudden that $10,000 job is a $25,000 job. And they're thrilled to write you the deposit check because they had no vision. They don't do landscaping. They just thought they were going to put a table out there. Now they can put a table out there, have the grandkids over for s'mores. It's a whole new world. And they just don't have that, they're not landscape designers. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what that dynamic pricing. One of my favorite terms is nonlinear dynamic chaos, which is basically life. But the dynamic is a little bit of that, making the pricing fluid. I think I always feel I'm not servicing my client if they only say, I want a 10 by 10 patio, and I give them a price for a 10 by 10 patio. And I don't ask them, why do you need a 10 by 10? What are you going to do with it? And don't give them any opportunity to have a better lifestyle other than what they're asking for. Because they don't even know what 10 by 10 is half the time.
They can't envision it in their
They cannot envision it.
Yeah. All right. So our next item is segmenting customer base and target specific groups with tailored offerings. And a great example of this is identifying what services you offer and who your avatar is. We had a client that we ran through this process to where he identified high-end business people, that had maybe like their own business, so they were professionals, and they liked to purchase certain products from him. So they put together a package that they offered to, these customers. And not only did the customers that he was advertising to purchase, that were already his customers, purchase this product, but in addition to that, other customers in the area purchased the product. So it really served their needs, and it handled some issues that they were experiencing. So looking at your customer base and targeting those specific groups with offerings, that can become a profit center in your business. And then the last one is continuously monitoring and adjusting KPIs. So once you start tracking your KPIs, and we talk about this in the strategic planning section again, is making sure that you're monitoring, adjusting them. So finding out, why is maybe one of the key performance indicators that you're tracking, why is it lagging? How can you get better performance out of it? So it's going to give you that insight with your revenue management and the services that you provide.
And then we're going to move into maximizing revenue in the maturity stage. We're going to maximize revenue by optimizing prices and inventory levels. So not ordering stuff and not overpaying for inventory and buying at the right price. Expanding distribution channels and partnerships to reach new markets. Leveraging data analytics to forecast demand and personalize offers. Christine just was talking about that a minute ago with that segmenting base, but we're going to do it on a larger scale. We're going to scale those personalized offers and developing and launching new products or services to maintain relevance in the marketplace. So, you have to show up with a new recipe every once in a while. Like I think the new Tide for the detergent, people would buy it. So you want to make sure that you have new products and services that stay relevant. Like, organic fertilizer was a big thing. And then now people are looking for, safer products for fertilizer. So it doesn't pollute the water. No phosphates is a thing that showed up about 10 years ago. So now the fertilizers don't have phosphates, and there's weed controls that are safer for dogs. So making sure that you have offerings and products that are relevant to your market and your client and customer. I think more people have dogs now than ever, and they treat these dogs like family and friends. When I was a kid, the dog just stayed out in the backyard in a dog house. There was never a dog in the house. And now I think everybody's dog is part of the family. I mean, my wife, we have a cat room for the cats. They have their own room. And that was not a thing 40 years ago either. So people love their pets. And if you can provide a service that protects them and cares for them, that is absolutely a winner. And then measuring and analyzing customer satisfaction and loyalty to identify areas for improvement. And that can go along with, honest conversations with them and listening to what they are saying and what they need.
All right, so our next and our last category is employees. So building a great team. And we're going to start off with the infancy stage. So what does the employees and building a great team look like at the infancy stage? So you want to lay a strong foundation for communication and collaboration. And this can start right at the hiring process. So, doing that onboarding, a successful onboarding beyond the first week, beyond the first 30 days, our onboarding is 90 days. So we look at bringing the team member up for 90 days, and then we continue past that 90 days. So, we're building that relationship and that foundation. And then another piece of that I would speak to is making sure that you have the communication channels established so your team knows how to effectively communicate. Like maybe what platform should they use? Should they be communicating in Teams? Do you guys have a text messaging app? Are you using Slack? So are you using a project management system? So where should your teams effectively communicate and collaborate? The next one is identifying each team member's strengths and weaknesses so they can be leveraged and addressed appropriately. And Steve, why don't you tell us what that means?
Oh, what does that mean? So as a certified Clifton Strength coach, what we focus on is identifying people's talents, their natural, like what comes natural to them, and then how they develop that into a strength by knowledge and skills. So they take a talent, they learn more, and then they develop a skill on how to do things or, how to implement and just kind of like what skill, knowledge, and talent ends up becoming a strength for them. And so that is really what we want to focus on because people can do a lot more if they operate from their strengths. They can achieve a tremendous amount when they're operating from their strengths. And that's really what that is. We don't want to pick out their weaknesses. We want to focus on their strengths and then leverage those appropriately. And that is done through a process called name it, identifying what they are, claim it, have an appreciation for those strengths, and then aim at taking those strengths and directing them specifically at a challenge or goal and saying, this is the action step for this talent, theme, and strength. This is the action step for this talent, theme, and strength, and putting timelines with it. So this isn't just like feel-good stuff. This is actually taking someone's talent and strength and aiming it to achieve a goal. In setting clear expectations for task roles and responsibility is the number one, Gallup found, the number one rule for employee and team engagement. If they do not understand and declare expectations of their task, roles, and responsibility, they'll have the highest level of disengagement, which costs millions, maybe billions of dollars in the workforce. Setting those clear expectations is the very foundation of the infancy stage. Also emphasize constructive feedback and continuous improvement. Just let our team know they're going to make mistakes, they're going to make errors. That is expected. It's part of the process of learning and improving. And say, I did the same thing. I had the same struggle. And that's why I'm a huge proponent and fan of practicing. I would say if the New England Patriots, when they had, the great Super Bowl teams, was it 6 Super Bowls the Patriots won with Tom Brady? They still practiced every week. Tom Brady still had to practice. So if Tom Brady can practice, my team can practice what their craft is. So give them that continuous improvement and feedback. Establish a positive team culture that supports each other. So really showing up for each other and not just outdoing each other or, talking behind people's back or triangulation, where you talk about people and not to the person about what they're struggling or challenges with. You want to just be upfront with people, be honest and authentic.
Yeah. And I feel like if you do these things in the infancy stage, right, you're going to move forward into the adolescent stage. And what the adolescent stage looks like is you're encouraging your team members to work together more closely and effectively. So you're really teaching them how to work as a team and support each other. And you're nurturing those conversations and helping them understand, what does this look like? A good place for that is, to do that in maybe morning meetings, team huddles, something like that, where you're bringing the team together and creating that environment for them to connect, which then ties into, promoting and building those strong relationships with the team. So they're connecting, they're understanding how to support each other and how to show up. And it's fostering open communication and collaboration to address conflicts and challenges. So have a system in place. Not everybody in this world knows how to manage conflict. Some people are very, adverse to conflict. It's something that they run away from. Others can run into conflict to where they're looking for it. So we really want to teach our team how to properly communicate and collaborate with each other and how to resolve those conflicts and challenges in a positive way. And it's up to us as leaders to do that. And then the provide feedback and support as the team grows. And this is something I've learned over time, to where I have to show up differently for different team members. And I love, the feedback method that Marcus Buckingham shares in his some of his online videos and his Love and Workbook, where he talks about the feedback method. And it's just letting them know what you yourself experienced and how it made you feel without all those emotions and negativity tied to it. And then just letting them explain what happened, because the assumptions that we're making about the situation could be far from what really happened and how our team got there. So it's a great way to provide support as your team grows and changes, and let them know, like, hey, I trust you, but sometimes we do have to have hard conversations. And it's usually when those hard conversations are neglected that we really get into trouble with leading our team.
Yes, the hard conversations are hard. I mean, it's not easy and it feels confrontational, but if we stay encouraging and curious, usually I make assumptions all the time that never are right. It's just like, what seems obvious is not always obvious. You need to ask questions, and that's why I'm trained in it now, because I needed the training to kind of get that to that place. And that's with the coaching. We were coaching people and watching them move through the process of the coaching and seeing their mindset change, and stopping with the assumptions and being more curious. It affects them, their family, and their team. And it's really a big part of moving forward through the adolescent stage.
Yeah, and the last part of that is, to encourage the development and building skills to help your team achieve these goals. So, as a business owner, if you're running off and you're getting coaching or taking classes, you could be outgrowing your team. So, making sure that your leadership team and your other employees on your team are getting the development and, building those skills to grow and move forward with you.
And then hopefully we make it through the infancy and adolescence, and we get to the maturity stage, which is, motivate and inspire the team to continue to work together and grow, which is in the stage that I'm in right now. 40 years in business, so it took a long time to get there, but it is really a pleasant stage to motivate and inspire your team to continue to work together and grow, and empower the team to take ownership and lead projects independently. That is just an awesome, awesome thing to see. Celebrate achievements and success and learn from mistakes. That's part of our immutable laws, because we know people are going to make mistakes. And it's interesting, when I'm here and fully engaged in my company, I push my team to take more risk, and which means they're going to have a little more failure, which is fine with me because I know that's how they learn and grow. And when I'm not here, what they shared with me is they kind of tighten up a little bit. They're more focused on getting their job done, making sure they're not making errors and mistakes, and but they're not risk takers. So my job is to encourage them to take some risk, push beyond their boundaries, and grow. And also in the maturity phase is foster a culture of continuous learning and development, which I shared. Christine also shared her teams. She's having her team always learning and going through programs. My team also. And one of the rules at my company is you can't be the same person next year that you are today. You have to grow, because we're not going to be the same company that we are next year that we are right now. So you need to come along with us, and that's through growth and learning. And you get to choose what you want to learn and how you want to grow. Our job is to encourage and support you. And the last is to encourage team members to share their knowledge and insights with the organization. And that can just be an attitude. I gave a card to one of our top employees yesterday, just thanking him for always showing up with a positive attitude and supporting his other team members, and how he was such a valuable it was a valuable example and mentoring type of attitude. Just showing up with that positive attitude every day is a big part of that. And, allowing them to share what they do know, whether it's mechanical, strategic, motivational, and just stepping out of their way and letting them show up to support their team.
Yeah, and there's opportunity for that too in, if you're doing a huddle or, getting together as a team, to where you can ask somebody to share something. They may not be as willing to just step out there and share with the team, but if we invite them as their leaders, it says, "Hey, I believe in you, I trust you, and your knowledge is valuable." So that's really important for your team to see, to feel seen, heard, and supported by you as a leader, is to help them, get out there and share that knowledge and insights with your other team members. And it creates that deeper connectedness as well. All right.
All right.
So we are through our different levels of infancy, adolescent, and maturity in these 5 business strategic categories. And we're going to kind of quickly unpack why these are important in your business for each section. So we're going to tie it up with the importance of each one of these categories. And the first one is strategic business planning. And it's important because it helps businesses to define their goals and develop the roadmap to achieve these goals. These include setting objectives, identifying risk and opportunities, and prioritizing initiatives in your business.
And customer service and satisfaction is important because providing excellent customer service is crucial for business to retain customers, build a loyal following. It also helps increase sales and revenue.
And then we're on to operations. So the day-to-day. So efficient operations enables businesses to deliver high quality products and services in a timely and cost-effective manner. This includes managing inventory, production, and logistics in your business.
And revenue management, why is that so important? Because knowing your numbers and knowing what the business needs and constantly monitoring their finances, it gives you a better understanding of revenue and expenses. And this includes analyzing financial reports and identifying areas for improvement.
And our last and favorite one, our employees building a great team. So business is only as successful as its employees. So building a strong team is essential to achieving business goals and creating a positive company culture. This includes recruiting, training, and retaining talented individuals.
Awesome. Good job, Christine. That was a lot of content. I hope you enjoyed the show, everyone. And take your time, listen to it. There was some good content. If you want to listen to it twice, you're welcome to that. And are we offering some gift?
We are. We're going to invite you to take the business challenge to see what stage you are in your business in these 5 strategic categories that we unpacked over these last 2 episodes. So please go to the show notes. You will find your link and you can take your challenge. It's going to tell you what your next steps are in addition to what stages you are in each of these categories.
It was very helpful to take that for me to see where I had to make changes and where I had to beef up in my business, where I had to step into my business that I was unaware of. Like before, you were talking about the books, my books were not as good as I thought they were. We did not have employee development up until 2018. We really did not have an employee development plan. So, it showed me where I was lacking and where I kind of needed to go and develop my business. And what's interesting financially, from the day I figured out I have to have an employee development plan and started getting my books in better shape, my business doubled over the next 4 years. So, it works. And I work less hard, not more hard. I work less hours, not more hours. I have more money, not less hours. So being strategic and really being intentional about everything that we just talked about will give you more life, more business, and fulfill your dream at a level I never thought my business would be at this point ever. Didn't even think about it. And it's far exceeded any of my expectations and my team's expectations. So
I think it is all worth it. So take the time to look into these key areas and invest some time into them, and you will definitely reap the benefits in the long run.
Absolutely. You'll thank yourself for it. 5 years from now, you will be thanking yourself for it. All right. Well, thanks, everyone. Glad you joined us. Thanks, Christine. This is the second part of a 2-part series, and we will see you soon.
Thanks for listening to the Green Profit Academy Pros Podcast,
the show that digs into the challenges of growing a lawn care and landscape business while maximizing your profit.